Anyway, so happy birthday, MCC. It's a great picture. So today is Anniversary Sunday. It's the 47th anniversary of the start of MCC. This is the closest Sunday to the 6th of October, which is the day in 1968 that our founder Troy Perry held the first service of MCC. Well, actually it was the first service of what was to become Metropolitan Community Church. But I don't want to rehash the history of MCC, or even really talk about it. Instead, I want to look at the present and the future. However, before that, I do have to mention another anniversary. Tomorrow is my wedding anniversary. Thought I should mention that before I forgot. Again. Anyway, the present. I hear from people that churches are shrinking. That in UFMCC churches are getting smaller. That may be true. But is that necessarily a bad thing? There is a clear need for smaller churches, for smaller groups who meet for worship and prayer, a need to belong to something that not only welcomes us, but knows us well. I don't know about you, but the times I've been to mega churches, huge services, massive places with hundreds of people, it's been exciting, sometimes awe-inspiring. It's been a real rush. But I've never felt at home. I've never felt that I truly belonged there, and that the people there would even notice if I vanished. There's a sort of anonymity in larger churches, in huge groups of people, which for people who like to hide is great. They can slip, they can stay under the radar. But the flip side is that those with gifts can often go unnoticed. People that would really benefit the ministry of these churches are often overlooked, unless they are really pushy or connected to someone who is, never get to grow and mature in those gifts. So, churches are getting smaller? Well, just maybe that is how they are supposed to be. Well, I've already heard about groups that have come into MCC and how they consist of people who are called to not only start a church, but to reach out and use their gifts, to answer needs in areas that interest them, that speak to them. That to me seems way more powerful than a church of several hundred that meets every week, worships, gives money, but exists only on Sundays, and has little or no commitment during the rest of the week. I recently saw a document on the history of MCC. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about the history, but this document really got to me. And it mentioned that MCC was a doing church. And I thought that's such a great phrase, a doing church. Not just a meeting church, not just a worshipping church, but a church of action. A church that actually gets up off its bum and does things. And it seems to say that MCC as a whole walks the walk, doesn't just talk the talk. To me, that is way more important than size. I would rather be in a small group of people that were committed, that were called to do something for their community, than in a church of hundreds that had big premises but did very little. There is such a need for people who are willing to put themselves out there, to step up. And with smaller groups there is, I believe, more scope for that. There is more peer support. There is more encouragement from the people around you. And often I found more enthusiasm. Don't get me wrong. I truly believe that we at MCC Brighton will grow. However, I think that God has given us this time to sort ourselves out, to get the foundations right, to digest and take into ourselves the outcomes of our recent discernment process, to engage with the meaning of our cross, the inclusivity cross, and the needs that we have identified around us. And that is important. It is vital that we build something for the future, not just for now. That we become comfortable with who we are before we ask others to come and join us. I think we're almost there. I think we are all committed and dedicated to the vision encapsulated in the inclusivity cross. However, it isn't a new vision. It is a re-envisioning of the original call on Troy Perry all those years ago. A recent article by Mark Jordan in Religion Dispatches mentions the anniversary of the founding of MCC. And in it he reminds people that MCC is not, nor has it ever been, a gay church. He reminds people it was always intended to be a church for everyone, a church that embraces diversity, a church that seeks to include everyone with no exceptions. Are we as a denomination there yet? No, we're not. That's being honest, we're not. We still have a way to go, but we have a leadership team that is committed to that call, committed to that ideal. We heard from our moderator, Nancy. This is a church for everyone, where everyone is a child of God. This is a church that welcomes everyone. This is a church that embraces everyone. And that is from the very top going down. And we are committed to bringing that ethos, not just here, but throughout the world, to anyone that seeks it and anyone that needs it. We've heard about Cuba, we've heard about South America, we've heard that people are coming up in Eastern Europe and trying to reach out to us as individuals, as small groups. That is because this message is vital. It is vital as where we are now. However, this means a lot of changes. But as the world changes, so must we. If a church stands still, digs in its heels and says, but we've always done it this way, this is how we do it, this is how we've always done it, then it will stagnate. Change is inevitable. The world is constantly changing. New ideas overshadow or disprove old ones. New understandings are formed and old ones relinquished. We are in a constant state of change. Every day something new happens. Every day is a new dawn. Every day we change. We get older. And yeah, I know that sucks. But we do. We learn new things, hopefully, and if we're lucky, and the world turns. However, amongst all of this change, all of the ups and downs within MCC as a whole, the changes of emphasis that have gone over the years, one thing has remained, one thing is solid, one thing has been carried through, and that is the original call given to Troy Perry. Throughout all of the changes within and outside of the denomination, that call to be a church for everyone, without exceptions, still resonates, and is as needed today as it was back in 1968, but not necessarily for the same reasons. It seems we often start to drift away from it, to lose sight of that original message, of that original call. But then, someone, or a group of someones, will suddenly stand up and say, this is who we are, and this is what we're called to share with people. Everyone is a child of God and a part of our family. All are welcome, no exceptions. That is a simple truth. But that is the truth that is reaching people all over the world today. That is a truth that is reaching small groups and finding people, individuals, that are connecting to us, trying to reach out and be a part of MCC. These small groups are taking MCC and its call to places that I'm sure Troy would never have dreamt of. So, as I said, our church is smaller. Probably. Does it really matter? I don't think so. After all, if enough pebbles move together, you have an avalanche. MCC is spreading out, growing, and yes, changing. A lot. Perhaps we need to look at the bigger picture to sharpen our own view. We need to look at these emerging ministries, new churches, new groups, as the new life of the denomination, as the new way of being church. And in doing so, we might just see that we are a part of something truly special that is changing the world. It has taken 47 years to get to this point. 47 years. And it's still moving. That's pretty incredible. So I said I would talk about the present and the future. So that's kind of the present. But what about the future? What does the future hold for MCC? This is the bit of my sermon where I say my favourite phrase, I have absolutely no idea. I don't. No one knows the future. But I truly believe as long as we remain true to that original call, as long as we stay authentic and honest, as long as we keep reaching out to those who need to connect with MCC for whatever reason, then the future will be one of inclusivity, diversity and acceptance. Not only regarding sexuality, but also spirituality, theology. And I truly believe that we will eventually come to a point where we finally see that we all worship the same God. No matter what name we use, and that our faith will finally bring us together, not as it often does these days, drive us apart. I truly believe that that future is being made now. It's being made here in this room. It's being made in our denomination. It's being made in the small groups and individuals in Eastern Europe and all over the world. And the message we share, the message that we have vocalised, the message that we have encapsulated in the Inclusivity Cross, that message will resonate with many and will be a vital part of the future. Finally, the one concept we must always hold close, and to my mind the one thought that must inform all of our actions and interactions, and the very basis of everything we do, should be everyone is a child of God. Thank you.